Hi guys, I'm Harry, and welcome to the first episode of the Low Code series. So today we're going to be showing you some really cool stuff that we've been doing between Teams and Knowledge Cube. Now, for those of you who don't know, Knowledge Cube is Mercato's low-code platform for the rapid development of applications, whether that be large enterprise applications, smaller standalone applications, and right through to modernizing legacy systems. Now, low-code is really starting to explode. It's going to get a lot bigger over the next 3 years, but especially over the next 12 months. All of this is backed up by comprehensive reports from top analyst companies, including Microsoft, who say 500 million new business apps by 2023. That's more than all of the applications created in the last 40 years. So, why are we doing Teams for our first episode? Now, the reason we're doing Teams for our first episode is because half the world is currently working from home. Companies are becoming more dependent on Teams as a whole, and we get asked all the time by our partners all over the world how Knowledge Cube interacts with platforms such as Teams. So let me give you an example. We have a partner, they're a large systems integrator, and I was having a conversation with them a few weeks ago. They told me they have a problem. So naturally, I clarified what the problem was. And they said, currently on the market, there's nothing that they have found that can build true enterprise applications in a low-code environment and have them running directly from Teams. So today, we'll be talking to Kieran Martin. Now, Kieran Martin has been with the business for about 9 years. He's our chief evangelist. He's the lead of our digital transformation team. And Kieran will be showing us how easy it is to build using Knowledge Cube and then integrate those apps with Microsoft Teams. So I'm just going to hand over to Kieran to introduce himself.
Hi Harry, thanks for having me. So as you just said, I've been working now with a business for 9 years, right from the platform's infancy. I actually joined the business as a project manager, sort of business analyst, and then within the first 18 months, I started to learn how to use Knowledge Cube. Since then, I've actually gone on to build a team of 20 citizen developers that build global enterprise applications.
Okay, Kieran, thank you. Now, Kieran, what are we going to be looking at today?
Okay, so I've got two examples just to show you how Knowledge Cube can interact directly with Teams, as well as just about any other system out there. Knowledge Cube can be used to bolt onto legacy systems or to build standalone applications. The choice is yours. The first example that I want to demonstrate is taking a simple application and then integrate with a standard cross-platform user interface, such as adaptive cards, and push that in directly into the Office 365 domain. Okay, so just for that demonstration, I've built a simple incoming webhook in a Teams channel that allows me to pass data from Knowledge Cube directly into that Teams. The second example that I want to demonstrate which I think is quite exciting, and I think you'll really like it, is the ability to take that same application that I've deployed on the web and push that directly in a Teams channel, so it works seamlessly.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Kieran. Now, I just want to clarify, all of this is done in low code using Knowledge Cube.
Yes, totally. Everything you see today is being built using Knowledge Cube. It demonstrates how you as a business can benefit from being able to collaborate more effectively and securely through just a single pane of glass view of the world, rather than having to work between different disparate systems, which we're seeing more and more often now, especially in the current crisis. The other element I wanted to add was the fact that these applications can be scalable right from the outset, so it allows you to improve those processes and improve the ROI back to your key stakeholders.
Okay, thanks, Kieran. Thank you. So, example one, what is it that we're going to be seeing on example one?
Okay, so what I want to do is I'm just going to bring up my screen and just make sure everything's all up to date. Is that we have a simple user interface. So everything you see here is Knowledge Cube, including the brand guidelines, everything like that. You can have your own brand guide line, but whenever you purchase a subscription of Knowledge Cube, it has out-the-box styles. So if you build an application, it looks good from the outset. You don't have to be a designer. But if you are a designer, you're in your element. You can just adapt it and go to your heart's content. So what I've done is build a simple application around expenses. So being able to capture one or more expense items and then submit it for approval. So I've got a standard form here where I can capture some information about myself. So I'm just going to put my details, my email address in, and I can specify who I want to submit the claim to. So we'll just select Jane.
So this is a form on the web that a user would be using, but this form is built using Knowledge Cube.
Yeah, everything is built using Knowledge Cube. So we'll go into the Knowledge Cube in a little bit later. So we'll just start to capture some details around a claim. So we've got a category. So let's go and say we've got a mileage claim for £34.45. We can then go and give it a description, go and put in the details of who the client was, where, what route we had to take, and so on. So we'll just put line item number 1. We can add that. And we start to build up a claim. So you can see we've got a grid below that's just showing the information. We can go and capture a second claim. So let's go for the 15th of April. And this time we'll select as an event. And it was £150.63. And this time we'll just put line item 2. Let's go and add that in. So you can see we've now got 2 records. And upon clicking submit, what we're going to do is we're actually going to save that information to the inbuilt data designer. So you've got a system of record, but if you've got a third party or your existing system of record, we can integrate directly with that. But we're going to communicate with that incoming webhook and pass this data directly into Teams. So let's go and submit. Okay, so that's processing. So really quickly, you can now see that we've got a claim reference. So number 47 there. So that's been saved away. But let's go to our Teams channel. So you'll see here when I select Teams, we've got a team called Incoming Webhook. And you'll see there's our claim 406 and the total amount of £185.08. It was submitted to Jane Doe and our actual claim. So you can see the 2 items. So you could extend this card out as much as you want. But the real exciting thing about this is the ability to then communicate back to Knowledge Cube. So you can see we've got within this card 3 actions, call to actions. So export as a PDF, approve, or reject. So it means we can go and approve directly within Teams. They don't have to go into another system to do it. So let's just go and approve. So you'll see that my browser is now spinning up another web page, and you can see that we've got expense number 47. It's now been approved, and it's got the details of what's actually happened.
So Kieran, what we've done then, just to explain to everyone watching here, we've started on a front web page, all built using Knowledge Cube. We've used a webhook into Teams, which is essentially we've integrated into Teams, which has brought information from the web over into Teams. Someone then using Teams, that's for the purpose of the example, an accounts person, your manager, whoever that may be that's signing off your expenses. So they're living within the Teams. They approve directly from Teams, and it pushes straight back out to the web, the front end system you're using.
Yeah. So it doesn't. For this example, we've pushed it into another web page just to demonstrate it, but it could be just going into another third-party system that you have. So the choice is yours, but it's just to show you have ultimate flexibility. And just for what I didn't touch on is the fact that included on this actual screen here, it is an adaptive card. So you can see the different details. So not only are we putting adaptive cards into Teams, Knowledge Cube can consume them as well. So you have ultimate flexibility on your approach to building applications.
Okay, thank you. And again, just to clarify for everyone watching here, you are not a developer, you are a citizen developer. And how long did this take you to build?
Yes, correct. So yeah, I'm a citizen developer. So I'd say it probably took me to build up the form and the actual process, probably 2 to 3 hours. Building the incoming webhook, really simple in Teams, took me about 10 minutes to just create that. And then about half an hour to then integrate it into my actual model. So if you said half a day, to build an application like this.
So half a day to build, what you've done is essentially built an expense system. So you could add to this, though, that you could have built this out into a proper big expense system integrated into lots of different systems, but it doesn't take a long time. You don't need to be a developer.
That's correct. So you can make your applications as simple or as complex as you want. And taking the expense application, it could go through a multiple approval process. So it could go from one department to another department. So it could, in its initial form, it could go to your line manager. The line manager approves it, then goes to accounts, and then accounts could then go and say that they've marked it's paid, and it updates HR, your payroll. The choices are endless.
Okay, so Kieran, let me throw a curveball at you.
Yeah, sure.
So let's say I'm the director of a company and I just want to live within Teams. I don't want to leave Teams.
Yeah.
So is it possible for me to type into a Teams chat, how many orders have I had today? Knowledge
Yeah.
Cube recognizes what you're asking it. It goes and searches a bunch of disparate systems in the back, collates the information, and puts the information, the relevant information, back into Teams. Is that a possible thing we can do?
It's a great use case, and that's a real powerful way of using Knowledge Cube is the fact that you can build microservices. So you could do exactly that. Pass a question from Teams into that microservice. The microservice then goes and retrieves the data and then passes it back into Teams. So that's a really good use case and something that we could probably show in the future.
Okay, great. So look, we've seen example one. What is it that we're looking at for example two?
Okay, so we've just seen that that's completely deployed on the web. But typically in your traditional development process, you would have an application for the web, you'd have an application for your native mobile devices, and you'd have application. So that'd be an application for iOS, an application for Android, and then an application for the Windows platform. Okay. With Knowledge Cube, we have a whole thing it's about build it once, deploy to all. So you don't have to worry about the how it's going to be deployed. The technology takes care of it for you. So it does all the cross compilation and allows it. So not only can you do native devices, you can publish the same application directly within a Teams channel. So if I go to Teams, and you can see I've got another channel set up there saying embedded application. If we go to that, what you'll notice is that we have a new tab at the top, which is our Knowledge Cube model. So that could be whatever you want to call it, but let's just go and open that up and we'll expand it.
So this is you starting within Teams with. So what I've just said, really, we're not leaving Teams here.
No, we're not leaving Teams.
From within Teams.
Yeah, and that's going back to when we were introducing this is about the fact it's about a single pane of glass. People want to work in one place. They don't want to be going into one system and then going into another, then into another. This allows you to place it all in one central location, build here, and then communicate to the different departments as you wish and whatever your business process requires. So
sorry, just to interject one more time. So because we're starting from within Teams, I assume we get all of the same security that Teams gives us straight out the box as well.
Yeah, and that's the real good benefit to doing this, because it sits within your Office 365 domain. Your application, your channel admins provide access to who they want to access it, so you have ultimate flexibility. And you don't get me wrong, you don't have to publish every single element of your application directly in here. You can go and choose the specific elements that you want to. So you can have 3 different applications built in Knowledge Cube, and each channel could have a different app. The choice is yours.
Okay, thanks.
So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to put a quick application. .net, okay, and we'll submit it to John this time, and we'll just capture one line item. So we're just going to put a quick claim in there. Let's choose airfares this time. So I'm just going to say it's £1,047.96, and we'll just put another line item in.
Where did you go?
Well, it'd be nice to have gone back to Las Vegas, that's for sure. So let's do line item 3 this time. So let's go and add that. So like the web application, you can see we've got a new record, and let's submit. So in the same way that the web runs, we've now got a claim reference number 48. Yeah. So if we go back to our Teams channel, our incoming webhook, you can see there's a notification there. So you can now see this one. It's been submitted to John Doe, and we want airfare.
So you started within Teams. You've done some stuff, whatever that looks like, from within a Teams tab. It's then ended up within Teams, but really Knowledge Cube has done all of the heavy lifting.
That's exactly it. So what we can actually do is if I go to the back office, so we'll take that same application. So this is where I like to say where all the magic happens. This is where we work. This is a Knowledge Cube model. You can see we've got a set of questions. So you can see typical things you would expect from a form builder, like a free text question, email address, multiple choice. So we can go into, let's go into the name. Okay, so you can see there's our question text. We can then go and update that. So we'll just put it to being full name, just a simple change, just to give you a flavor of how simple it is. We can save that.
So just before you go wherever you're going to go now, this is the Knowledge Cube builder here. So this is the
Yeah,
back office for Knowledge Cube. This is what people see when they're building applications, and
yeah.
this is where you live, really.
This is where we live, and this is how we build up those applications, and that's how it gets rendered. So everything that you see on the web, on Teams, is being built directly in here, and Knowledge Cube handles all that cross compilation, so you don't have to worry. You just have to worry about the process as the implementer, the citizen developer.
Okay.
Okay, so we've just made that change. So what I want to do is we're just going to go back to my web browser, and I'm just going to put in the link, and we'll go to the same application that we had earlier, and you can now see that we've got a full name. So not only that, if we go back to Teams and go back to our embedded application, let's click on the model, and I'll enlarge it again so everybody can see. Full name. So really simple. Build it once, deploy to all.
Okay, look, thanks, Kieran. Thanks for showing us some two examples there. So from what I can see, though, they all share the same sort of aspects. So we get security out the box from Microsoft and also from us. They are collaboration tools, so it gives you cross collaboration, but it's one central place to manage everything. But above all, really, it's super easy and it's super scalable for the user.
Yeah, totally, and that's what makes it so attractive. So yeah, to those citizen developers using the platform.
Okay, thanks, Kieran. So, look, you've shown us the two examples. How do we get from actually building something to it actually being deployed?
Okay, no problem. So in Knowledge Cube, we have a feature called the content delivery system. So this is where you start to manage all your pages, your styling. So just the important thing is it's not about replacing your existing design tools. You can use those existing tools and copy and paste or reference them for our content delivery network. Again, the choice is yours on how you deploy that.
So just to clarify on what you've just said there again, you don't have to live within Knowledge Cube. Knowledge Cube you use to build in, but if you're a designer, you've got your own style sheets, you've got other design tools. We cater for that as well.
Yeah, totally. So it's not about reinventing the wheel. It's about playing nice with these other third-party technologies. Okay. So what we've got here is our site structure. If I go and type into the filter just to show everybody Teams, I've actually got 4 references. I've got 2 specific demonstrations around Teams itself, but I've got 2 site definitions. Okay, and you'll probably ask me, what is a site definition? So this is the stuff that this is the elements that are required by Microsoft to be able to publish your application either directly in Teams or SharePoint, or even which is the really exciting thing about being able to monetize your solutions and publish on AppSource. So if we go into Teams New, we've got certain elements that are required. There's a standard out of the box. When you decide to create a new site definition, Knowledge Cube creates this out of the box for you, so you don't have to worry about it. Put some default responses in there. So if you don't have a terms of use to hand, we put a default one in there for you to then go and amend. Same with privacy statement.
Sorry, yes. So just to cover that off, this really lowers the bar of entry. So even if you've never built these things before, you don't necessarily know how to put these things together or how they work together. Knowledge Cube handles everything. It really does lower the bar of entry.
It really does, and it's the things that you don't want to have to worry about. Things like terms of use. If that's what these third-party providers require, it's the ability, the fact that the tools, once you create a new site definition, it just creates it. You can then go and adjust it as you so wish, and over time as your policies change. And then when you want to be able to share that, it's simply going in and using the inbuilt publishing tool. So let's publish a Teams app. So you can either create a new site definition, so you're not restricted to the number of applications you can publish. You can publish 1 or more. The choice is yours again. But let's publish the Teams. So in my repository, I have 2 site definitions that I can publish. I can go on to Teams New and go, okay. Right, this is where we start to source our information.
So looking at what... Sorry,
Kieran,
just to interject, yeah. So looking at this page you've got in front of us, now I've actually uploaded 4 applications into AppSource. Now, this looks pretty much the same. This is the same information that we're putting in. It's got the same tabs across the top. Is that...
Yeah, it's all about, again, it's all about productivity, about trying to make it as easy as possible for our end users to publish. Okay, so if you're going to publish directly in Teams, it's simply create a manifest, provide it to your Office 365 domain admin, and they can then upload a zip file into the Office 365 domain. Again, if you want to do publish it to app source, again, it's taking that same zip file. There's obviously going to have to still go through the same process about how you're going to publish your application, the certain rules that you can't get away from. But where possible, we've just tried to expedite that process and make it as easy as possible. So I'm just going to fill in the last
So this is
details on this.
actually you filling in this information here. You've already built something. You fill this information in. This is you creating that manifest, that file that is needed to either for your 365 admin to put it into their closed network, or for you to monetize this on AppSource.
Yeah, exactly it. So you can then start to, it makes it simple, and I'll show that in just a second. But you can go and change the logos that appear within your Teams channel, tab definitions. So we touched on earlier, it's not just about Teams. It's about the other Office 365 domain that we can start to work with. So SharePoint. So we can decide whether it's going to appear in both Team or a chat, or it can be published as a full screen app page within SharePoint. So if there are any existing SharePoint developers out there, or everybody, pretty much everybody knows what SharePoint is, it's about being able to extend that functionality with Knowledge Cube as well.
So just to touch on that point just a little bit more with SharePoint, even if you don't have Teams, you're a company, you haven't adopted Teams at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of companies have adopted SharePoint. That is widely known. So we can run exactly the same stuff that you've just shown us from Teams, but if you don't have Teams, you can run it all from your closed network, which is SharePoint.
Yeah, totally. So again, the ultimate flexibility is yours. How you want to operate as an organization.
Okay. Well, look, thanks, Kieran. Thanks for showing us those two examples. Now, I believe we actually have a couple of comments. So, one, how scalable is Knowledge Cube? Okay, well, we can answer this on two parts, really. So there's two parts to scalability. One is the actual building. What can you build? How big can that get? And two is the infrastructure. So if we just start with the infrastructure, how scalable is the infrastructure?
Okay, so Knowledge Cube is deployed on Azure. Okay, so it has full elastic scale from the outset. So it's really important when we're building these applications that we don't have to worry about that the technology takes care of itself. Okay, so just to give you a bit of an idea, is that we've been able to build a single application, deploy it into 150 countries and over 20 different languages. That's just one single application. So you need to be able to cater for scale right from the outset. So as your application grows and as your user base grows, Knowledge Cube it scales with it.
Okay, thank you. And so just on the other point, so if we were to, just how big is it? How enterprise can this stuff get?
So as I just touched on, that's like that 150 countries, 55 different, so over 20 different languages. It's scale right from that, being able to deliver that, including data sovereignty, to being able to handle it in different, host your application in multiple locations around the world. Again, you can choose that, you can manage that directly from Knowledge Cube.
Okay, thank you. Now, there's a second question. So, is Knowledge Cube made just for citizen developers?
Okay. So I think we sort of kind of gone over a few of these areas just through the process, but no, it's not just for citizen developers. It's all about productivity and actually enabling organizations to be able to rapidly transform, be able to deliver results. And there's certain things that the tooling just takes care of, things like just being able to publish Teams, but we sort of touched on the sort of the microservices. It's the ability to go and produce an API and the platform take care of all the documentation, rather than where you hear the sort of the traditional story is of, I've not had a chance to document it yet, but here's the API. Knowledge Cube does all that for you and deploys it securely, so you don't have to worry about it, and you can then provide access to that documentation to third parties. So just gives you ultimate flexibility and gives you that scale, and you don't have to worry about security, which is always important.
Okay, thanks. So just to cover that question off then, no, it's not just made for system developers. It's made for everyone, really, all the way up to you've been a developer for 30 years. You can use Knowledge Cube.
Yeah, totally.
But you have built a team of system developers that are deploying applications, as you said, in 150 countries, 20 languages, with unlimited scale behind them.
That's exactly it.
Okay, well, look, guys, I think that's all we've got time for today. If anybody's seen if anybody enjoys what they've seen, then please go to www.knowledgecube.co.uk. You can get a free license from there. You can look at the solutions that we've delivered. It's full of information, full of technical information. So that's all we've got time for today. Thank you.